Path of Exile 2 seems to be having a real serious problem with its economy, and it doesn't just extend to PoE 2, it also impacts PoE 1 as well. It turns out that almost every single league, what you normally see are people basically using mechanics in a very strange way, trying to maximize the amount of currency that happens or that drops inside of the game, thereby also creating a massive amount of inflation and causing regular dads like you and I a much more difficult time in order to try and play the game in the first place, or even get the gear in the trade economy to even get to the point where we want to be at in the first place. But I think this is a bigger problem overall and just an actual cultural shift in what's happening with Path of Exile as well. And it all started because of a streamer. You see, this is where things all got kind of wild. Fubgun, in fact, made a tweet saying this: "You can currently generate a full temple within 2 minutes on a new character. Holton Zone in Interlude. The Vol monsters will always spawn near the checkpoint. The catch is they won't spawn if you're 10 levels over the zone. So keep your character low level and generate dozens of temples. This will allow you to create an insane temple with long chains in the matter of hours rather than days if you were to do maps for temple generation. Character in the temple to never level past 72, so you can keep spamming Holton for Vol spawns." Now, this caused a bit of commotion, especially in the PoE community. Fubgun is the kind of streamer that simply just goes around and tries to find specific ways of just generating more currency. That's the kind of streamer he is. Just like when you see someone like Jung go around and just basically create massive builds using specific bugs or issues that are just not caught by GGG in the first place. Remember, we're playing Path of Exile, a game that pretty much every autist on the planet congregates to. So there's going to be some people who find out the most optimal way to play the game, and Fubgun just happened to be the one for this season. What's funny is Fubgun also talked about that he was wrong about temples. Here's his tweet: "I was wrong. Temples are insane. 200 divine drops today. Once my temple is fully set up, it'll be around 40 divines per hour." And then, of course, you can see here, he's gotten around 429 divines, 9,000 exalts, 240 chance orbs, no mirrors, and basically everything else you could possibly want for currency in the game. Also showcasing his actual temple right here, where basically just all he's doing is just farming the entire thing and everything else along in between. This is honestly a massive thing, because what this is causing is other people to simply stop what they're doing and trying to chase the exact mechanic that Fubgun basically just figured out. In fact, Reddit caught wind of this as well, with the PoE 2 subreddit a few days ago saying this needs to be fixed ASAP. And in fact, it was totally fixed in 4.0.c, where players will no longer be able to get energized crystals from the areas they're significantly over-leveled on. Now, it doesn't fix the actual ability for you to go through and make a brand new temple and still use this kind of idea to generate new actual temples, but the difference is it's reversing the actual Holton to stop it from higher level characters doing that exact same thing. And of course, here you also see on Reddit as well, with someone saying, "Seems balanced," and you just see the amount of just currency generated is honestly ridiculous. You can see right here as I flip myself over, they made anywhere between 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 52 divine, if I can count correctly, just in this one temple run. And it makes a lot more sense because now people are saying they finally have the currency to do what they want. But the problem is this is causing a massive amount of inflation with other items in the game. Exalts themselves, basically worthless, even though exalts have pretty much always been worthless in this game once you get to higher levels and higher tiers of items as well. And this is where things start to get a little sketchy. People saying stuff like this: "I left for a week and the game is completely different." The game changes every couple of months, so let's be real about this entire thing. With Voltaire responding, happens every PoE 2 league now. You got about a week or two before inflation gets crazy. This league is probably the craziest it's ever been in the history of the game. That's not saying much. PoE 2 history of the game is 4 half-cooked leagues. All right, that's kind of true. But the thing is, there's so many other issues that are happening in this game where people are in fact getting incredibly upset and not really enjoying the fact that we are seeing so many people that play this game rushing to do this mechanic and then do non-stop currency printing to then basically inflate the economy. And I can see it from the perspective of the regular player. And I know the big meme going around about that. I myself am really not the main core audience of PoE 2. I am in fact a dad who has 4 jobs and 2 YouTube channels and also does so many other things. For me to actually get to endgame, it takes about 2 weeks to beat the campaign, while people are just going around doing it in about 4 hours. Really, I'm not the kind of person to keep up with that kind of thing. But if you really want to look at the actual reality of what's happening in game, I just completely avoid the entire economy altogether, basically. I have already 2 divines right here just off map drops in tier 4 and tier 5 maps. I've already gotten 2 fracturing orbs, which I sold for all the exalts that I would need simply to just craft everything. For my build, I had the Fear of the King talisman, which I found for a divine on the trade shop, because clearly it's going to be a little bit difficult to try and find that actual item on my own, seeing as how it's more of an endgame build. And even then, the gear I have isn't even that great. Most of this stuff I got for like 5 or 6C, and even then it's just resist and life gear, and even then the life isn't even that good in the first place. So you can do a lot of things in this game and can get past a lot of places without having to spend multiple divines while trying to play. And I think that's really the big thing that people have to start understanding about what this game is and how they're trying to present the game in the first place. And look, I totally get it, right? I'm also someone who has to work for what I have, and I'm not able to play PoE and PoE 2 for 8 to 10 to 12 hours a day. And watching other streamers get to devote all that time kind of rubs me the wrong way sometimes. I get that feeling 100%, absolutely. But the thing is, you can't sit here and compare yourself to these streamers who are dedicating their entire daytime life to go through and play this game and think that you're going to be competing on that exact same level. Look at DS Lily. Her literal name is Don't Sleep Lily, and she streams for like 25 hours every single time the goddamn league starts. The damn girl works more than anybody I've ever seen in this damn business. But the thing is, you're not going to be able to compete with that kind of characteristic, and you're not going to be able to solve these problems. That's why they're always putting out the content to help other players understand what's actually happening in the gaming space. This isn't a bad thing for you in the economy. This is actually a good thing for GGG to actually catch in the first place. But as an actual casual player, as a dad gamer, trying to compare yourself to those specific people is just only going to make you not enjoy the game at all whatsoever. Here's a perfect example. Everybody's playing the Bear Slam build, and yeah, I got the Fury of the King talisman, sure, but my build looks completely different, I guess, than the majority of other players playing this kind of thing. I went with more of like a totem fissure build, with more of like a slam thing, and not even using the actual talisman right now either. What I like the most about this game isn't just the tanks, right? What I like the most about this game is just the ability to go through and solve the puzzles of what the actual class is doing, solve the problems that I'm trying to figure out with my build, and then just enjoy the actual game as well. Most of the time, once I figure out the actual build, it's just a matter of like trying to go through and get the gear to make it perfect, and then I'm basically done. I'm no longer excited, no longer care. It's just pretty much boring after that, and that's really something that I just kind of play with this game. If you like to get tinks, totally go for it. Absolutely. That's a fun thing too. The dopamine hit is honestly great. But the reality and the fun part about the game for me really has been trying to solve crafting, trying to solve the way the game operates, trying to solve the classes themselves, trying to figure out what I want to do with this class or how I want to approach specific things, and then go from there. I don't even like running temples. And even though it's more financially beneficial for me to run temples, I don't want to do it because it's boring. It's just really not a lot of fun. And that's really where I think people get burnt out the most with this. Going around and doing something that is more efficient rather than fun may not always be the right answer or the right call for you. Just enjoy the game itself. And I think that's where you're going to actually have the real currency come your way in the first place. You can grind temples all day, you can grind abyss all day, breach all day, but if you're not enjoying the mechanic, if you're not enjoying the build, if you're not just enjoying the game, then really you're just wasting your time. And once you get to a point where you're completely set, you basically never die on your character, and you one-shot everything on the screen, what's the point of even still playing? It's just clicking buttons, listening to a podcast or a YouTube video, wasting your time on the entire thing. That's really not fun for me. What's fun is solving new problems. What's fun is solving different things. And I think people getting caught up in the amount of currency being made by a select few people who really have the time more than the sense of anything really doesn't help you as a player or customer, or even then just enjoying the game in general at all. And I think that's the real problem with all of this. In fact, Neversink made a really great tweet saying this: Just a reminder to my fellow PoE 1 and 2 players, I really can recommend SSF. They often feel like detox from usual PoE concerns like speed, meta, economy. Also, PoE leagues come and go. The next one is usually better than the one before. Relax and touch some winter grass. Neversink made a second tweet saying this: also, I'm taking PoE 2 seriously, since the filter tiering requires constant understanding of the meta to improve and confirm its current state. Automation can only go so far. You don't have this excuse. Take a break, play something else. And I think, honestly, the best way to approach this is going to be the clown method, is what I'm going to call it. That's right, the Quinn69 method. Going in, playing SSF, learning what the currencies do, learning what the omens do, learning how to get yourself better and your character better, understanding the different farming mechanics, and really just understanding what's in fact happening in the game, and using your currency not just to buy new pieces of gear or to trade up for divines, but actually using it in practicality to make the gear you actually need. Mathel made a really great video talking about this specifically as well, reminding people that once again, it's important you might want to watch this if you can't stop thinking about the length of Fubgun's snake. And basically, Mathel made the exact same point that I'm trying to make here. Don't worry yourself about the economy directly. This isn't a job for you. This is video games. Enjoying the game itself is going to be the best thing for you. And if the way you enjoy the game is to go through and blast maps, you can do that. It's just going to take a little bit more effort than what you normally would do with the trade economy as well. And time being limited, I can totally understand the crunch and idea of I have to maximize every minute of my time in order to play the game to where I want it to be. But the question I'm going to have to ask you is this: if you're maximizing your time every moment of the day, are you even having fun while you're playing the game? And that's really the most important thing. You can make all the currency in the world, you can make all the divines in the world, you can make all the mirrors in the world that you want. If you're not having fun while playing and you're doing a mechanic that you don't enjoy simply because somebody else online figured out a way to print money, you're just wasting your time and you're not even having a good time in the first place. The way you make currency in PoE isn't by doing what everybody else is doing. It's by doing what other people aren't doing. People aren't doing Breach. They're not doing Abyss. They're not getting the omens they need for crafting, for getting the gear to where they want it to be. There's plenty of money to be made in PoE. Chasing down what everybody else is doing to make the quick buck honestly never works, just like in real life, in actuality, when you think about it. So if you're worried about actual currency and everybody's doing one thing, you should in fact be capitalizing on a market that no one else is in fact touching, if you really want to be smart about it. But in the end, the only thing I can actually recommend is this: don't worry about what streamers do. That's what they do. Some of them will create really just insane builds, like DM did with his actual corrupted blood life 18k bleed build that he made recently, or anything that Quinn does, which is basically just a Rube Goldberg clockwork device of a fucking thing that really makes no sense unless you're actually Quinn himself, and then he's just doing something wacky and it kind of fucking works in a weird way. Or anything by Steel Mage, where he just basically solves all the problems as well, and the exciting thing for him is to in fact solve those problems. Look, there's so many ways to have fun with the game, but worrying about what's happening in the economy itself, where PoE 2 is in a much better state, not only for crafting, not only for SSF, really, you've got plenty to do, you got a lot of ways to enjoy yourself, and you don't have to worry about what a streamer is doing simply because you feel like you can't keep up, when in reality, it wouldn't even matter if you tried to keep up. And that's really what I'm getting at. The thing is, you can spend all your time playing PoE 2 and still get to the same spot where you are right now. A lot of these streamers have a bigger depth of knowledge in the game than basically anybody else. You could definitely take someone like Zizaran, make him play only 2 hours a day, and he'd still outpace you in terms of just gameplay itself or even progression itself, simply because he understands the game far better than most people. So in reality, it's not about the time sink. In reality, it's about game knowledge. That's how this mechanic was even found out in the first place by Fubgun, by understanding that game mechanic and knowledge itself. That's why SSF can be such a rewarding experience, because what you're doing is learning the game knowledge itself and then using that to your advantage to give you the gear that you actually need. I think PoE 1 and PoE 2 are going to be in great states, and I really do think that people are just doing this gold rush like we saw before when Abyss got reworked in PoE 1, when we saw Breach in 0.1 of PoE 2, where we saw all these things happen, and it's going to keep happening. And the question I have to ask you is, are you going to keep letting the flavor of the season dictate your actual enjoyment of a really fun video game and one of the best ARPGs probably ever made? So do yourself a favor. Give SSF a try. Make your own build. Try something different. Or maybe even run a mechanic that everybody else is avoiding, which you'll probably make a ton of money doing anyways. There's so many things to do in this game, and honestly, GGG can fix it, but there's always going to be somebody to break it. Remember, we're a little bit autist in here. It's kind of why we play this game in the first place. Why not have fun while doing it, huh? But you know what? I want to hear what you guys have to say in the comments section down below about this. Are you upset about the economy? Are you avoiding the economy? Or are you just having yourself a grand old time doing SSF and avoiding all this drama in the first place? But if you want to see more of this kind of content though, more news about PoE and ARPGs, more possible build guides, and everything else in this amazing genre, subscribe to the channel. I really do appreciate it. With all that being said though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you next time.